Okay, so now let's look at a bit more challenging example, factorizing the difference of two squares. Let's look at example 2. The doing word, the verb, is also factorize. So factorize, to put it as a product of factors. So part A, we need to factorize 2b squared minus 32. So first thing to check with this difference of two squares pattern, number 1, you have two terms, and in between them is a subtraction sign. We have two terms, 2b squared and 32. In between them is a subtraction sign, so that's good. Next thing to check is, are your two terms square numbers? Are they perfect squares? 2 is not a perfect square. Remember, perfect squares are 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. So 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, etc., etc. Well, 2 is not a perfect square because nothing times itself gives you 2. And also 32 is not a perfect square because our closest perfect squares are the 25 or 36. So that's not good. We can't directly apply our difference of two squares. But we can do an extra step. We can first factorize out any common factors between the two terms, and then we can check for perfect squares. So for example, look at the first term, which is 2b squared. Look at the second term, which is minus 32. What is in common? What's the highest common factor between them? Well, in terms of the numbers, they're both even, so you can pull a factor of 2 out. Once you pull a factor of 2 out, what's left behind? Well, 2 times what gives me 2b squared, or 2 times b squared gives me 2b squared. I have a minus sign, so 2 times what gives me 32. Double 16 gives me 32. So first pull out a common factor of 2 because neither 2 nor 32 are perfect squares. Now let's have a look at the bracket inside here. B squared minus 16. Well, I have a subtraction, it's a difference. B squared, that's something squared. Can I write 16 as something squared? Yes, you can. That something squared is 4. So I can keep writing this as 2 outside of 2 lots of b squared minus 4 squared. So now this b squared minus 4 squared is a difference of two squares, which means that we can apply the difference of two squared pattern of factorizing. Gives us bracket, 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 first plus second, and then first take away the second. So you can write down here that this is equal to 2 bracket, 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 because you can factorize the difference of 2 squared. First thing, 1 is plus, 1 is minus. The second thing is 4, because 4 squared gives us 16. So your final answer is 2 brackets, b plus 4, close brackets, and then open brackets, b minus 4. Because you have a difference of 2 squared. Now, when you check your textbook answer, some textbook might write it as 2 outside of b minus 4 and then times b plus 4. The order in which it's b minus 4 first or b plus 4 first doesn't matter because 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. The order of multiplication doesn't matter. What matters is as long as one is positive and the other one's subtraction. So they're different, they're alternating signs, one's plus, one's minus. They're not both pluses and they're both not minuses. Let's do one more just to make sure. So part B, we have x plus 1 all squared minus 4. Okay, so first check, do you have a subtraction, a difference of two terms? We have our first term, x plus 1 all squared, minus 4. So I do have a difference. Are my two terms squared numbers, or can be written as something squared? Well, x plus 1 squared is already something squared, because that something is x plus 1. What about 4? Can I write 4 as something squared? Yes, we can. We can write 4 as 2 squared. So we have x plus 1 all squared minus 2 squared. So because we have something squared minus something else squared, we can factorize bracket, 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 bracket. All right. Our first thing is x plus 1 because first thing is x plus 1 all squared. So x plus 1, our first thing. One bracket is plus, one bracket is minus, and then you put in your second thing, which is 2, because it's 2 squared. Now you can simplify inside the bracket because x plus 1 plus 2 is x plus 3. And then your second bracket, you have x plus 1 minus 2 is minus 1. And then that's your final answer because that's written as a product of factors, or in fact 2 factors, x plus 3 and x minus 1. Again, you can check your working by expanding your brackets and using FOIL and making sure you get back what you started off with. And again, if you do check your answer with textbook, they might write it as x minus 1, x plus 3 instead. Again, it's the same thing. The order of your factors doesn't matter because 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2, and order of multiplication doesn't matter. But the key thing for today is recognizing the difference of 2 squared pattern. So first, if you see the word factorize, you're trying to write brackety stuff, factorize, and then you see 2 terms that are subtracting, and then you are subtracting 2 things which are squared, perfect squares. Then you can go backwards and factorize it as bracket, 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 bracket. First thing, plus, minus, second thing you put inside your factor brackets.